Everybody, DayTraderRockStar here with a special lesson. I do these things on the fly, but today was an interesting day because I was broadcasting on a Friday, and typically I have a Friday off, so I was in the process of not doing the watch list research and stuff, and really just trying to trade, but not just handle the show. Typically Fridays, I do a lot of research, and I get prepared for next week. I came in today thinking, all right, you know what? I always come in motivated and saying I want to take a lot of trades on the ES, but my criteria is pretty strong. It's a tight, I should say, it's a very tight and narrow criteria that is going to force me into taking a trade. And today, going over the show and what I do each day is kind of broadcast what the market's doing and give you a play-by-play of the markets. And I always like to consider myself like a football announcer during the day, and watching areas of support and resistance, seeing the trend lines come in, telling you what the best opportunities are at the same. So it's play-by-play action. I'm not going to take all these setups, and I watch the room and I see traders in and out and stuff, and I know that the method I'd like to trade it works great for me and stuff. And usually it's that divergence, that price divergence, the lane divergence, and that works all the time. So that's my number one go-to trade. But my close second, and now is moved up to tie with number one. I have to tell you, the quad rotation has come into its own recently, and even today, I remember going over because I came in this morning, and then around 12 o'clock we were just watching the market pull back. I had a perfect 1-2-3 pattern right here, and 1-2-3 patterns is a basic fundamental rule of trading, or at least charting, technical analysis. A 1-2-3 pattern is something I kind of call it. I might have coined it 1-2-3 pattern. It's really a channel, but you only need 3 points for a channel. 1 and 2 will give you a straight line, and whenever you have a straight line and a third, you just have to drop that on the parallel trend line. I usually like to, if there's a lot of wicks and stuff, I tend to just concentrate on where the closing price is. But you could go down here. I mean, it's not, you can see where it is. It's really right there. And what we do is we trade 4, 5, and 6. So here's the 1, 2, 3 channel. Here's 4. If it gets up to this, got close there, that's chopped around, usually 5 and 6. You always try to trade the trend lines whenever they touch. That's basically the rule. Doesn't mean even if it comes back down and it touches it, that's an important touch. We want to take that trade. So get a hold of this. This is lesson. I don't know if I've ever did an exact lesson for the quad rotation, which I think is considered one of the best setups for trading futures during the day. It's easy now to go back and look back at the charts, but I want to show you some things, and it blows my mind because we're there right at that time, and you don't see until afterwards. You really don't see until the big move afterwards. But when you could go back and you can measure this out and you can back test, and this is not something that everyone's putting together. I think these are my stochastic combination here. The 9-3 to 14-3, yes, that's very typical, and that's usually a default time frames and stuff. But my use of the 60-10 and the 44, and over the years of back testing and getting those lined up, and then seeing the results and understanding and building a bot around there, building the tradometer around that. But I like the manual way of plotting this. So if you have 1, 2, 3, and you're waiting, and then you extend this line here, and then you're at this point right here, you have a rising trend line. You're almost kind of looking at this as a wedge pattern. This is also called a trapdoor trend line down here. It means that if there's ever a rising trend line, and we bang against it a couple times, the first breakdown to the trend line underneath it is a buy. It's called a trapdoor trend line. Because people think, oh, we just broke support. But we end up coming right down to the lower trend line, and we bounce aggressively. So, sometimes it could be very quick. It could be here to here. Sometimes it's out a little further, and then it goes down and down and down. But you'll see that these are the type of trades I have to wait for. That's what I am here to show you when the right time for these big trades. You could trade in and out of this if you want, and there's so many opportunities. Like here was a kind of a sell side divergence. But today we're going to concentrate on that rotation. I just want to make sure everyone's up to date and up to speed, especially, members of Day Trading Radio. This is going to go into the members file. I'm not sharing this because I think this is going to be great information. And I want to come in Monday, and I want to try to take these trades, each one of them, on the rotation play. So, I should write down some notes on this, but I'll try to, I'm going through this right now. Whenever you have that downward channel line, and we're watching, first of all, you have four bands here. These are stochastic bands. Now, hopefully you looked at the foundation courses and stuff and understand what stochastics are. I don't want to go into them too deeply right here, but it goes from my fast stochastics, which is a 9. Excuse me, talking so much today. All right, so we have the 9-3. The 9 representing how many periods back. So if we're on a 1 minute chart, we're looking at 9 1 minute candles. 14-3, 60-10, and there's also a 44, which is not marked here. It should be, but it's what we call a 44. Now this is on full, but don't matter. You could have a fast; it'll be the same reading on that. So fast stochastic, fast 42, and fast stochastic. Have those lined up like that. I like to color code them, so it just makes it. And I also get rid of the K line. There's 2 lines on the stochastic: the K line and the D line. And what basically the K line is the product, or the calculation. The 3 line or the D line. In this case, it's a 3, and the D line is actually moving the 3-period moving average that's placed on the K line, and this is the result of that. So it's a little smoother signal. You can see if I put my mouse over it, you'll see there's a light line that's very spiky, especially back over here. You see how spiky it spikes up, and very, very hard and whiplashy. So we don't even need to look at that. We want the signal line, which is the percentage D line. All right, so just remember that. You don't need both of them in this method. All right, so you have the D line, the D line, the D line, and it goes from slowest to the fastest to slowest. All right, so what we are doing is we're looking at each one of these time frames to rotate down where they all end up being oversold or overbought at the same time. And typically it happens, again, it'll happen it's a great indicator if you know the type of market you traded in. It's a great indicator when you have kind of an upside move and you get a fast little move down, and that was just a news event. Actually, probably at 10 o'clock, I think there was some news coming out. Market tried to break down. We all got just about oversold. Actually, this wasn't a quad rotation. So what the definition of a quad rotation is having all 4 of these stochastic D lines to be under the 20 line, and that kind of gives us multiple time frames that are being oversold at the same time. So the 1 minute time frame is being oversold because of 60-10. That relates to the 5 minute time frame. If we looked at the MES on the 5 minute, would just be getting oversold. All right, and you have the 3 minute too. So you have these that kind of. And then the 44 is actually, that was just testing and retesting and going back to different things until finally one gave me the best setup when we had that bounce. So if we had a bounce here, what do we have in common? And that's how I sometimes come upon these things. We see over and over in patterns. And it's usually because there's multiple time frames that are lining up. And, when you're able to see that and then see the bounces, you start to look for them. And it's very easy to see because the way I have it lined up here, look at the full stochastic. It doesn't end up being oversold, especially in a good market, in a market that was going up. It doesn't really get oversold that much. It stays up there, all right? And it takes a while to get up there, and it takes a while to get back. So it has some time for the patterns to play out. So then we know what kind of pattern we're working with. From this point on to this point, it was pulling back into a tight pattern. Now we just had a triple stochastic sell. And again, let's not get ahead of myself here. I'm awful at getting ahead of myself. All right, so we'll take it. We'll take this as an example. We broke through this trend line. We came down. We knew there was 1, 2, 3 pattern, but we're also seeing the rotation here. Now you can see this is much faster. It chops around much faster. This one is a little bit slower, this one's slower, and this one doesn't really chop as much as this one. So these are all heading down. but this one might bounce a little and give us a little bounce from here to here before heading back down. This one might give a little slight bounce, or maybe not. But in the end of things, when we finally get oversold here, that's when we start to pay attention. And in this case, you can see that they all kind of bounced, and finally, at one point, they're all underneath that 20 line. Now, I kind of have a visual. I look at this as a visual thing. I said I want to make sure I can see the dotted lines above my 60-10 line down there. I really want to make sure, because sometimes it's borderline, and you just like to see everything line up really good. And in this case, it was also on a trend line. So that made it kind of a super signal. You have one of the best setups, a quad rotation. That means it's oversold on multiple time frames, and you have a 1, 2, 3 channel. I mean, that's a no-brainer right there. And I didn't take that. And I think I think we have to just force ourselves to step up at that plate, especially if it's looking at right. Everyone's different, and I sometimes tell you the things I have trouble with because I'm sure other people have the same issues. But to have that confidence in seeing how it works and how the methodology and the criteria is really there. So it's just lining things up for you. You really have to take the bat off your shoulder at this point, to have an analogy. That's your pitch, all right? That's your pitch. You have to swing at this. That's why you're in the game, all right? And there's no excuses afterwards if you were, because this is a key area. Maybe the news came out. Maybe you just get scared out of it and have the confidence. All right, we all go through that. But just look at this and remember this quad rotation. Today, then we started moving back up, and you can almost look at it the other side too. Wait until they all get overbought, and then. But I like excuse me. I like the quad rotation buy signal because I'm a buy side trader usually. So here we had it. I'm just watching it, and just starting to come down into an oversold level. And yes, we did get that little bounce out of that. And I do believe this was a divergence too. Now, when we have a divergence and a quad rotation, that's considered a super signal. All right, so 1, 2, 3 pattern with a quad rotation, super signal. Downward channel with a divergence and it's a quad rotation, super signal. All right, and there was one. Then we got a little bounce. It did fail eventually. It came back down, but this is a scalper's tool. Remember what time frame we're on? We're on the 1 minute time frame. All these setups, be it a rotation, even though you have a better shot of a bigger move, you have a great shot of a small move. All these setups are going to be taking small moves, and you have to apply rules based off your stochastic exit signals. Like I said, once you get overbought on that 80 on the short term, there's a shot that you're going to pull back down before moving back up. And who wants to go through that? No one's going to take a loss in this if it starts breaking down, and you're in here, and it starts coming back and down here. Even you're not thinking that it's going to come back and get oversold again. But sure enough, I didn't even mark this one down. This was another perfect oversold, all at the same time. This was hanging above that level there. And now I can see that dotted line. So right there was a perfect level. And it was also a trend line retracement. So that causes it to be a super signal. Anything with the quad rotation and a good channel retest or anything to do with a trend line is a super signal. And you know what? The odds are, even because you have that pullback, you're buying into weakness, the odds are that it's going to work, And the odds are even better because you have the signal. A lot of people will be saying, I want to take a shot here. If I didn't have the signal, I wouldn't take the shot. Because I know every time the signal plays out, and I can zoom out now. If I'm zooming out on this chart, and I'm like, all right, let's really just take a bird's eye view of the chart. I'm just going to go out to the last day. And there was only 3 setups today with the super signal. I mean, with the quad rotation. There was only 3. Well, maybe even early in the day. No. But 1, big move. 2, pretty big move. 3, big move. Let's go out from yesterday to yesterday. Let's just look for the latest one here. Was there one here? Yes, there was. Oh, right there. And I could start to see that line right on top. Again, I don't want to miss opportunities. It's right. What are you going to do? You gotta make the call there. It's very close, but you know what doesn't make it close? And we called this morning, that this is a 5-minute divergence. So you see the low here, and then you see the lower low here. Look at the 60-10. You know, it is definitely higher than the the 7 o'clock low, where we were really just chopping around down there. We're definitely a little bit higher. So this is kind of a bigger quad rotation with a 5 minutes. It's usually the best setup of the day. It's borderline on that, but I think, you could see that. You could definitely see that 5-minute divergence. And I'm almost positive that the Rockbot gave us that today. Let me see. I'm curious to see. I'm very curious. Give me a second here. So I need my 5-minute chart. All right, I got the 5-minute chart here. I don't think it took any trades today, honestly. It says 0 on that. Oh, that's on the 1-minute time frame. All right, let's see. It's connecting. Let's see if there was. What time were we looking at? All right, right around 8 o'clock. Right around 8 o'clock. All right, there was one here at 10 o'clock. All right. And then, oh yeah, look at that. Well, actually, it grabbed the first one. It didn't grab the second one. It grabbed the first dip on that. But I could see, look at you could see the divergence there. This was on the 5-minute time frame. It will give you the opportunities. So, looking at that, that was another super signal. And again, that makes us, that's 4. Let's go out. And I don't really take these overnight, but let's just see overnight here. This is about 5 in the morning. Market selling off hard from European Open. Market just selling off hard. But it's the first time we're getting oversold. You see how long it took to get down here? And even at this point, this was already up here. So it's not like you can't take this, because this is higher from when this is underneath there. If I put that line in there, you can see that those are high. You have to be underneath. You have to all come down at the same time. And it's pretty easy to see it when it's happening, because there's a nice slope to it, and you start to see, and that's way underneath it. So it just took time. 9-3 is the key, because that's the fastest one. That rotates a lot. And you had that. And what happened? You had a small little move back up. Not much going on there. We kind of dropped off, but the odds are, the object here is having the tide on your side. When you have that quad rotation, it is a thing of beauty. Here, I'm just zooming out, right? This is at 12:30. We pretty much took all night from 10 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock. This is chopping around. It's taking time for this to get down. Once this gets around, it's chopping around. It's taking time for this one to get down. This one's chopping around. Now this one's just getting in, and this one is just tagging that oversold level. Again, my mind says, is that a valid signal? That's at 25. I say it has to be under that line. But and you're dealing with the overnight trade too. But look at that. Oh, come on. I mean, look at right where it is. Look at that line. It's right where it is. It's a quad rotation. Even in the middle of the night, you had a little love. A little love in the middle of the night there. And if you're going to stand around and twiddle your thumbs at night, and you have this in front of you, you might as well just pay attention. Now this was a divergence. You can make good money here. Look at this divergence that happened. This was at 11 o'clock, 10 or 11 o'clock. You're sitting around watching Friends. You're watching that. Looks like there might be a little divergence. There might be a nice rotation coming in here. What was reversal candle? Whoa, 60 stochastics. Look at that. That turned right back up. And the 40. You can't beat the 40. If the 40 gives you a divergence, believe it or not, out of all those, the 40 gives you the highest success rate on these, and these success rates are up there. It's not like you're dealing with too many failures here. But every time I see a 44 divergence, I just never find one that fails. So it was also 44 and was a 60-10, and again, you kind of moved up 12 o'clock all the way. It basically was the low. Basically it was the low. So even these setups that we take, the divergence, the quad rotation, maybe you're getting 5-6 setups overnight, maybe. What do you see here? Let's just take a look. Look at this. This is something I would call, and again, I've been doing this for years. This is what I call coiled stochastic. And I saw that one before. You see how we're making a series of lower highs on this? It was not just a straight move. It's up, down, up, down, up, down. And this is taking its own sweet time finally to get down there. I can see those dotted lines right there. I can see this as a coil. So I know there's an explosive move about to happen here. This is an explosive pattern right here. This is a quad rotation. I'm going to have a coiled stochastic channel breakout. Say that 5 times fast. I would say, get up from dinner and take that trade. If you're eating dinner at that time. It's not giving us a lot, but it's giving us all you want to have is the cards, falling in your favor. I don't care. A win is a win. You're dealing with this time frame, very light volume. But even that, the signals are true. I just pointed out 2 big divergences across stochastics, and these are the only places in the market that actually moved up. You can't argue that. And then I'll just go out. There probably will be in some cases. Look at this one. This one's chopping the rats, not really getting oversold. These are way overbought. Finally, boom, they get oversold altogether. Well, not even. That didn't even really line up. This was the key one here. Here, same thing. You finally what if you could have timed this one? That was kind of over it. You could see it here. It's another coil. It's another coil. Slow coil down. Finally getting oversold. Underneath the 20, underneath the 20, underneath the 20, underneath the 20. Explosive move. All right, so we know what to look for. Here it is. I marked this one off last week. It was a divergence and a quad rotation. Every single one we went over. I couldn't find anything that really failed. Maybe, what's this here? If there's bad news out there and things started to get embedded, you're going to know that, and then they would say hands off. But other than that, you got to take these. And that's a quad rotation setup. All right, there's different ways to use it. But, all you have to do, you get a couple of these a day, you got to be taking them. Lots of times you'll see that that rotation be tapped by some kind of candle. Like here, there was kind of a piercing pattern. We pushed back into the previous candle. It's either a piercing pattern or a large tail. Whenever you have those, what we call reversal candles, you put your stop 1 tick underneath that. All right, you just put your stop. I like to kind of just put an automatic bracket order in there, and then I adjust it to where that candle is. All right, the rockbot automatically does it. The rockbot automatically places that candle. I think you could use the rockbot for these trades, but I do not like letting them. Every market's a little bit different, and picking your targets and your runners and stuff. I think it needs to be. You need to go hands on. So I like it to take the orders because they get real good orders. But at that point, have it automatically put in a stop that's, a pretty wide stop, and then you can chart trade with it. Hopefully your stop is on your chart. You just move it to the candle, right under the candle, and you're good to go. And then you can follow it up, and you can measure out, all right, when this rotation is going to happen. And once the rotation is scaled out a little, watch the 5 minute and see how that's acting. If that's heading up, you can probably hold on to this and let the rest run up with a break-even stop. You're sitting pretty at that point. And any of these. This is another one that you want to bet into this. this is your hand. So this is where you're going to make some money. So you probably want to step up a little bit more on trades like this. That's the quad rotation. I wanted to do a little lesson on it just to get it out to you because it's such an important thing to learn. And the way I have it set up, feel free. I have a template for members that it's in the Rockbot code area, and it'll give you all these it'll give you all the indicators on the MedVed Trader. You can just download my template and it'll apply it. And then I have the template for the TC2000 too. I believe that's in there also. Or if you need any help with it, just let me know. All right. All right. Hope that helped you. If you have any questions, I might have just blown through over everyone's head and stuff. Please ask the questions, and I'll answer them in a video format because I'm sure other people have the same questions. Right? All right. So let's get this off. This is going to be in the members forum under the playbook trades, quad rotation. February 10th. 2023.